James Scarlett, organiser, head honcho, boss of 2000 Trees. How's your weekend been?
Yeah, really good. I mean, a bit mad. Like after 3 years of no festival, it's weird to be back here at Upcote Farm, like doing. Yeah, it's a strange job normally because it takes a year to do it, but 3 years. So yeah. It's great, but weird.
So pandemic hit.
Yeah.
You obviously tried to keep trees on as best as you could. Tell us about what was going through your heads when the government literally turned around and went, "We're shutting down."
I mean, we obviously we didn't know if anything would go ahead, but also we were really worried that people would ask for loads of refunds and we'd be in big trouble. So it was a very scary time that we learned a lot of new skills that hopefully we'll never have to use again. Like how to do a crowdfunder or, how to postpone a festival.
Yeah,
but we're still here, so we're happy.
Yeah.
We're happy.
And through this crowdfunding, you've got people on lifelong tickets now who can come every year.
Yeah. I mean, they spent a lot of money to do that, so they're I love those people.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So let's talk about the festival itself. Let's say festival day, just before it opens. What's going through your head just before everyone kind of rocks up?
I always find when I wake up on the first morning, it's quite a mad experience. I have to give myself a little pep talk, which is basically to say, make sure you enjoy it, because it only happens once a year or once every 3 years if there's a pandemic. Enjoy it. Go and watch some bands. I book all the bands, so go and see some bands. Go and enjoy it. Talk to people, hang out, and don't sit in an office on your laptop. Yeah. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. So speaking of the booking of bands, do you have your favourites that you want to come kind of every year, but they can't, or how does it work for you to set up the bands to play on this festival?
You start with a list of headliners. Some are wildly unrealistic, some are a bit unrealistic, and some are in the ballpark of you could. It's all about money in the music industry. It's about money, right? So I would love to book Biffy Clyro, but I can't afford them. I would love to book Deftones, but I can't afford them. But so it's trying to find the right level. We don't necessarily want to grow 2000 Trees. So these bands like Jimmy Eat World and Idols is the right size for us. So yeah. Yeah.
So when you've got your budget, obviously, do you look at it as right? I've got this amount of money to spend on artists, and then work from headliners down. Is that basically how you work?
Yeah, you have a set budget and. You do start with headliners, but because they tend to take ages to actually lock in, so you start there, but you end up confirming stuff lower down.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you look at our lineup poster, there's probably 30 big-ish bands on there, and so those are the ones that are going to attract people. You always need new. We've got a very loyal audience, but you always need new people to come.
Yeah.
Because everyone gets older and decides they can't camp anymore or whatever. So. Yeah, we're always trying to book bands that people want to come and see, basically.
And how far ahead are you for next year at the moment? What have you got kind of booked in line for next year already?
Well, I'm further ahead than I normally am, because I usually don't start at all, because we're too busy running the festival to think about next year. But because of the pandemic, there's a bunch of bands playing this year, that I booked in 2020. In fact, there's bands I booked in November 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, and it's just rolled and rolled and rolled. So that's given me more time. So I'm ahead on 23.
Yeah.
No headliners confirmed yet. Bunch of other stuff. People want to now. It used to be hard, but people want to come and play Trees now. Bands do want to play.
Well, award winning.
Yeah.
So they see that you've won awards, and they're we must go and play there.
Yeah, and it's a nicer vibe than a lot of festivals, and people are friendlier, I think. So yeah.
So you change the festival kind of setup every year, ever so slightly. You've got a spoken word stage this year.
Yeah.
How do you what goes through your head in deciding what's going to change for the next year?
Well, I mean, so we're doing this interview the last day of the festival, right? And tomorrow, me and my brother and a couple of others will sit up on the hill, with destruction in front of us, because that's what a festival looks like when it ends. And we'll just kick around some ideas, this stage needs to be bigger, this stage needs to move a bit to the left, I don't know. It's how can you make it better? What do we need? Do we need more of this, less of that? Were the toilets in the right place? It's brainstorm it and yeah.
And go from there.
Just go from there and see what we think.
And Trees has been around for a while now. You've been running it. I've been a pleasure to be here for the last 10 years doing this sort of stuff.
Wow.
So thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
What are some of your biggest highlights? Looking all the way back to the start through until now, there must be some key moments of yours that stand out as kind of your top moments of 2000 Trees.
I mean, when the festival finished, in the first year was 2007. When it finished, I remember us all half of us were crying. It was like we couldn't believe we'd actually pulled it off. I mean, it wasn't the professional show that we do nowadays, but there's like 1,000 people here.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of work. But the bands are always my highlights. Like this weekend, Palm Reader and Pigs, amazing. Having At the Drive-In here was a particular, for me, like personally, like the idea that I can book At the Drive-In is mad. My 20-year-old self is like really confused and quite excited by that. So that was a highlight. I mean, probably the best set I've ever seen at 2000 Trees was Enter Shikari.
Yep.
But if I was going to go, my number one moment was Jamie Lenman said to me, come and watch me in the forest today, I've got a surprise for you.
Okay.
I went in there and he'd written a song called 2000 Trees, and it is so like, it makes me want to cry when I listen to it, because it's basically all about there's this place we go and it's a lovely community, and like, so one of my favourite artists ever from Ruben wrote a song for us. It was amazing.
And he's one of the artists that you kind of know as being here quite regularly.
Yeah.
Jamie Lemon, you got Frank Turner who comes fairly often. He was kind of one of the mainstays.
Absolutely.
First time round. Do you like having these bands back, or do you like giving the fresh artists, the new artists, kind of the run and pushing the likes of Jamie Lemon out?
No, look, there's 150 bands here now, so I think there's room for both. So one of my first jobs next week will be to go, who went down like amazing? Like who was like the band that was playing on the small stage? Where, I mean, God, I saw Bob Dylan last night, and it was like mad. It was like absolutely bonkers. It's like, well, that is a no-brainer. Let's get Bob Dylan back. So that's the first job. So I'm more than happy to do repeat bookings, but you got to freshen it as well. So I mean, Jamie Lemon's to the city. He can come every year if he wants to.
I imagine. And you also do Arctangent as well. So how do you separate the two? What makes both unique?
I mean, they're totally. When I hear a band, I know which one. At the end of the day, 2000 Trees is more commercial rock music, and Arctangent is way left field.
Yeah.
And I think there are some bands that work at both. So like Faith No More and Deftones would work at both. Black Peaks worked at both. But mostly, when I hear a band, it's like very clear split, and the audience is really different. It's like there's not much crossover.
Good. And hopefully the plan is to do these festivals for the foreseeable future. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I mean, it's my job, so I mean, I didn't know this was my ideal job, but it is basically I can't believe I get to book my favourite bands, so why would I stop?
Yeah, indeed. Well, James, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
Really nice to chat.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks.